In this video, I'm going to review my very first running shoe by Skechers. I'm going to review the Skechers Aero Burst. Hey runners, and welcome to my channel. My name is Letty from Marathon Media, and I create running content on a lot of different subjects. I cover the elite athletes. I do some running shoes reviews, which I haven't done in a really long time because I've been busy focusing on the majors because there's a lot of them right now. I love creating anything running content. I have a running podcast called the Marathon Running Podcast. So feel free to tune into any of those. But like I said, today we are going to talk about my first running shoe that I ever received from Skechers Running, which is the Skechers Aero Burst. So let's talk about that. All right, so with the disclaimer out of the way, we're going to talk about this running shoe in the same structure and method that we normally talk about shoes. We're going to talk about the model and purpose of the shoe. We're going to talk about the tech specs of the shoe, key features, price point, colors, and my first impression when I received the shoe. I'm going to try to think of some shoes that I compare this shoe to, and then we're going to talk about who I recommend the shoe for, and then that's it. Then you're on your merry way to the online store or not, because you either will like the shoe or not. Again, as always, I encourage you guys to check out all the shoe reviews on a certain model because all of us have this opinion about how these shoes are. But in reality, everybody's foot is different. What fits me does not necessarily fit you. I'm just going to give you my honest recommendation. So let's get started. All right, so as for the model and purpose of the shoe, this shoe is a very, very cushy shoe and it's not lightweight. So as you can assume, this is meant to be a daily trainer, a daily long run trainer, not necessarily a speed shoe, but really something that is designed for comfort and long distance. Now, when it comes to the tech specs of the shoe, we're going to start from the top to the bottom. The upper of the shoe is designed out of breathable engineered mesh, so synthetic material. It's not necessarily the most lightweight or the thinnest. I have seen meshes that are a lot thinner than this mesh, but it is comfortable. Now, when it comes to the tongue of the shoe, this tongue is not gusset. It really is only held back by this little piece of stretchy lining. So it doesn't just flop around. That lining is only on the inside, just one side. So it doesn't really flop around when you run, but at the same time, you also don't have any locks with the laces. So when you tie the shoe, you have to do it in a way that makes it snug so you don't have any of that going on. At the same time, that is probably something that sticks to me out more than to you guys because I try to wear all of my shoes barefooted. And when you do that, you do not want any chafing from tongues flapping around. And just to let you know, I have been wearing the shoe for probably almost 100 miles at this point and not gotten a single blister on the top of my foot. The tongue is plush, which is great. Not too plush, but definitely cushioned. I'm normally not a big fan of plush tongues because I feel like that soaks up the sweat more. But this is a very cushy shoe, so it would be very shocking if the tongue was not plush. Also, since this is the type of shoe it is, which is a long run, comfortable, easy run shoe, the emphasis really is more on having a shoe that's plush and they're not trying to save any weight on the shoe. Now moving on to the midsole. The midsole of the shoe is made out of an amplified hyper burst ice cushioning, which is being trademarked right now, featuring its dual density hyperburst technology. In other words, Skechers Running came up with a technology that they are trying to trademark because it is different than what is out there on the marketplace right now in the way that it cushions. Part of it being that there is a carbon infused H plate in the shoe, and I'm not quite sure what that means because this shoe does not have a carbon plate as we know it. As you can see, I can bend the shoe. So again, carbon infused, maybe there is a little bit of carbon put into the cushion of the shoe, which makes it more stable. And I can attest to you that the shoe is very stable. Could be because it is wide at the bottom, but I'll find out more. I have a meeting scheduled with Skechers in December, and I will update you guys on what the deal is with all these new trademarked patented phrases and terms for their shoes. Now the outsole of the shoe, and don't mind the dirtiness of the shoe, I have not thrown it in the washer in a while, is made out of the Goodyear tire. See right here that this is some really durable rubber on the bottom of the shoe, which gives it some longevity, which I really, really appreciate. And here you can see it says Goodyear on the shoe. Now last but not least, there is a 6mm drop. The shoe starts at 42 millimeters, 4.2 centimeters, and goes down to 3.6 centimeters, 36 millimeters. And so you have a not very aggressive drop of the shoe, but just kind of standard for this type of shoe. Also in the shoe, you have a removable sole, which is the patented Skechers Arc Fit, which is what they have in a lot of their shoes. And something else about the shoe is when I received the shoe, there was a little tab, a little cardboard tab on the laces that said machine washables. And you guys know that I wash my running shoes anyway. I think any good running shoe should be able to endure a good wash, and not any, obviously not the Alpha Flies, right? Because those are more fragile, but the ones that you wear in long runs and you wear through the mud, I feel like they should be able to be washed. And it was really nice to see that Skechers has in their line now a lot of shoes that are machine washable. I quite enjoy that. I always wash them with a towel sometimes, and then I just air dry them because, dryer always ruins everything. Washers don't. So that was something that was really good. And just like with my other running shoes, I threw them in the washer and they held up just fine. Now, when it comes to the colors of the shoe, I could not find this color of the shoe that was sent to me online for the life of me. Running shoes on their website are of the following colors: white multi, off-white green, lavender pink, white gray blue, and burgundy. Now, as for the men's shoe, those shoes come in light blue, gray blue, royal, white silver, white multi, and sage. When it comes to the price point of this shoe, right now we're in October of 2025. The shoe is listed at $160. Now, another perk of the shoe that Skechers lists on their website is that this shoe has been recognized by the American Pediatric Medical Association as a shoe that is good for foot health. Whatever that means, they looked at the shoe and they endorsed it, so of course put that on their website. Last but not least, the Skechers website lists the weight of the shoe for women's 7 at 9.8 ounces. I do understand, again, that this is a pretty heavy shoe, but there are other shoes that are very similar, and we'll talk about that here in a second, that weigh even a little bit more than that. All right, so my first impression when I saw this shoe, and I actually saw this shoe at an expo, at a trade show last year before it even came out and it was still under embargo, was that the making of it was really, really cool to see, because they had the heel shrunken down and we're going to infuse it with the gas. I'm assuming it was nitrogen infused. And that was very interesting to see. I think it's always fascinating how these foams just expand when they put nitrogen in it, which helps the shoe stay lighter but also get more cushiony. So that was my first introduction to the shoe. I liked the look of it because it's just something different, right? We see so many running shoes that are very similar, but if you look at the shoe is kind of pretty. And obviously the colors are popping, but not just the colors, just the way that the shoe is made was very, very nice. When I received the shoe in the mail, I was very excited to try it on. Again, I was pleasantly surprised that it said the shoe is machine washable, because who doesn't want to throw their shoes in the washer on a regular basis when we use them? And then I put the shoe on, and I was very pleasantly surprised. Now, let me compare this running shoe to another running shoe that I have, and I'm going to tell you it's very, very similar. This shoe reminds me a lot of the Hoka Skyward X. So the Hoka Skyward X was a shoe that I have been wearing since last year, and this is one of those models I find myself going back to if I'm stumbling out of the house in the morning at 5 o'clock and I just want a shoe that is stable. I'm halfway asleep and I'm doing an easy run. I will almost always pick the Hoka Skyward X. So I was very excited when this Hoka Skyward X came out with a version of it that is laceless. That shoe just came out this year. I have not reviewed it yet, but it's on my list, and you'll probably see that shoe on my reviewed shoes pretty soon, maybe next month. But yeah, so Hoka Skyward X is a go-to shoe, and now I found myself always going back to this shoe as well for any of the long, easy runs that I do. The shoe just sits very pleasantly. There's nothing aggressive about it, and it doesn't lose its cushioning, even though I've been wearing it for a really long time. It does exactly what it's meant to do. It avoids me getting foot fatigue and allows me to just put in miles and miles. So this has definitely become one of the two shoes that I constantly wear, even though I have a whole bunch of shoes. It's soft enough for these long runs. My toes can spread out, even though the shoe says it's medium in width. It's just really, really a good shoe for that. Now, who do I recommend this shoe for? Well, I recommend this shoe to the same people that love the Hoka Skyward X, even though Hoka Skyward X has a carbon plate. I don't feel like it needed a carbon plate. Maybe this carbon plate is in there for more stability, because it's definitely not a responsive shoe, and it doesn't need to be a responsive shoe. because this is your trusted long run shoe. So if you are looking for a shoe that is very soft, very cushy, and a shoe that you can wear on those days that you are tired and done a workout yesterday and you just want to put in some easy miles and you're trotting, you're not trying to run fast, then this is definitely a shoe for you. It's a shoe that slips on very easily, and it's a shoe that's also, to me, very aesthetically pleasing. So I'm very happy with this shoe, and you will be, if you live in my neighborhood, seeing me run with this shoe probably until I run it to the ground. As for durability, again, like I said, I've been wearing this shoe for a really long time now, and my foot stride, I am not a heel striker, I'm kind of a mid-foot striker, but on the left side of my foot, I always strike here. So this is the part that wears down first when I wear shoes. And you can see that even after 100 miles, yes, of course, it's worn down. But as we have learned, there's nothing wrong with even running on the foam. But yeah, so that's that in a nutshell. I hope you liked this kind of video. I'm going to also put a review of the Hoka Skyward X, because I also recommend this shoe right here or there somewhere, so you can watch this. And that is it. Stay tuned for more shoe reviews coming up in the month of November-ish, December. Now that all the majors are coming to an end, that's what I'm probably going to be posting a lot more for, and we're going to be attending a whole lot of running conferences in both Europe and the United States. So you'll be seeing me testing more products. So subscribe for that, please. Thank you so much. Let me know if you have anything in particular that you would like for me to see review down in the comments, or any other videos, ideas. I'm always open to creating more content. Thank you so much, and until next time.